Felet Woven 1000. It has been a while since we've had a sit-down review. So in the spirit of things, we're gonna do it on a couch in widescreen, and yes, I will be eventually reviewing these. So as always, guys, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, help me grow the TikTok, the YouTube, whatever channel you see this on, help me grow it. It really does mean a lot. Now, back to the main review. Once I can get my ankle to be stable enough, so to speak. But yeah, so the Woven 1000 is basically Felet's copy of the 1000Z. Like, let's not, beat around the bush. You can tell by its coloring, you can tell by its width. Like, it's a very chunky boy, arrow wide or whatever you want to call it. I think Felet calls it, what do they call it? Isometric woven scale. Okay, whatever that is. This comes in 2U, 3U, and 4U. Yes, they do sell this in 2U for whatever reason. The balance point, as we mentioned before in the first video, is 295 millimeters. I'm just reading off of the Felet website here. And they consider this, like, if this is all the way stiff, there's like there's four dots. Flexible, middle, like another one, and then stiff. This is like the third dot. So it's not the most stiff they sell, but it's almost there. In reality, this is like 700 Pro stiffness, in my opinion, right? This is very usable for a lot of intermediate players. Obviously, some beginners and some intermediates still would find this difficult to use, a little bit too stiff. But yeah, that is the specs. Let's stop talking about specs now, and let's kind of talk about it performance-wise, or at least how I felt using it. So for people tuning in for the first time, I announced that I was going to review this like last week, and I train again six days a week, 2 hours a day, sometimes more. So I've given this probably like 6 to 10 hours of on-court time since then, and we're going to start in the front. So in the front court, it's very whippy. Like, I can, even without looking at footage, I can feel the whip, right? And you can hear the whip as well in the shots. Like, I posted a front court kill drill comparison video between this and my main racket, the Hard Hitter Pro 6.4, which is like almost the same thing, but stiffer and head heavier. And you can hear the difference. Like, the power access is easier here because it is less stiff. And it's a bit more maneuverable because it's lighter in the head. So it's still head heavy at 295, but some people would consider that slightly head heavy because it's under 300. When it comes to like crispness in the shots, obviously the Hard Hitter Pro I prefer because the shaft is not as stiff, right? So and you're gonna see this reoccurring pattern throughout my entire experience as you continue to watch this video. You're basically trading, right, a lower power ceiling for an easier power floor compared to the Hard Hitter Pro, right? So the Hard Hitter Pro, I have to lock in a bit more. I have to focus on my technique, and still, honestly, I'm not like fully mastered it. Like, I could still work on my technique, still work on my physical. While this, I feel like totally at ease with, right? So, but with that being said, even though it is more comfortable to use, right, the response is not there, the crispness is not there as much, and I feel like my maximum power output is less. And I mean, that's pretty consistent with a more flexible shaft and less head weight. So, talking about, let's see, we talked about the kill drills, we talked about tapping. I think for like just nets in general, I think honestly that's more of a string thing. I didn't really notice a comparable difference between this and the Hard Hitter Pro when it comes to like soft net touches. I think I prefer the Hard Hitter Pro simply because I've put in more practice with it, and probably the stiffer shaft does play like a little bit into it. One thing I do want to mention is I've noticed, and I've been told this off camera from other players here, is that Felet tends to be quite boomy in their rackets, right? Meaning they don't dampen the rackets as much. And I felt this the first day. So the first day when I used this, or part of this like review period or whatever, I actually had symptoms of like tennis elbow and tendonitis for the first time in like forever, right? Because I don't string that high, 26 pounds by 28. I use Expo 68 by 63 hybrid. And I noticed after I got home from that first session using the Felet Woven 1000 when I was like doing the dishes, right? And you have to scrub with a sponge like this, like it hurt. Like I felt like my range of motion was a little impaired when I was doing some office work with my mouse. And again, using those similar movements, like I was like, why does like my forearm and my wrist hurt? And like I would poke here in this area where typically the tendons here are the ones that are inflamed. There was pain, bro. Now, thankfully, that pain subsided after that day. Like I went to bed. Next morning, I was like, all right, I'm gonna take it easy. I'm gonna try to replicate and see like what issues or what caused the tendonitis in the first place. It didn't happen again. So maybe it was just an adjustment thing. I don't know, but yeah, something interesting for me to take note of. In the mid-court, kind of similar experience compared to the front. So obviously, my drives, the power and speed is going to be easier on this one compared to the Hard Hitter Pro. But again, I prefer the crispness and the response of a stiffer shaft. And while it was an easy adaptation, right? I miss the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Like the touch when it comes to the softer blocks. Because I use a soft block quite a lot in the mid-court. And obviously you can adapt to this, like given more practice time. But my natural inclination and preferences is for something along the lines of like the Hard Hitter Pro. So there's that. And then in the back, I mean, it's very comfortable to use in the back. I'm not gonna lie. Right? Because of that flexi shaft, because of the slightly head-heavy nature, you're just gonna be a very consistent drops, consistent fast drops, half smashes, full smashes, right? Consistent clears. And again, the power ceiling is going to be slightly lower. And I even asked some coaches this. Like there was a coach I was doing some training drills with. I said, hey, I want to work on my smash. Just relift it to me, right? I did one set with the Woven 1000, then I did one set with the Hard Hitter Pro. And I was like, I mean, for me, it was quite obvious because the sound was different. He was struggling a bit more when I was using the Hard Hitter Pro compared to the Woven 1000. But I asked him anyways. I said, hey, on which racket do you think I hit harder with? And he doesn't know them. I just said this one or this one. He said, I think maybe this one. So verdict time. I'm going to say, who is this for? So I think this is for the kids that like want the 1000Z, but honestly can't afford it, or their parents won't like let them spend the money on that, or you know, this is more of a smaller case. They realize they can't use the 1000Z. Maybe they watch my video, shout out to y'all, and they're looking for something alternative to it. Because honestly, if you're on the market, you don't know anything about Apex or Felet, you see this, right? The name is Woven 1000, and it's yellow. It's like it's very easy, or it's very, it's very easy to recognize and detect that, hey, this is probably built after the 1000Z. But this is, first of all, blue, and the name is Hard Hitter Pro. It doesn't sound like the 1000Z at all. In fact, if Apex did not mention it to me specifically when I visited their headquarters back in January, I would have not even like considered this racket at all. So that's more of a marketing thing. But yeah, for the people that want something like the NanoFlare 1000Z, I think this is a watered down version of it. I think now that I've tried basically 3 copies of the 1000Z, this, and the OG Kills 1000Z, I think if I were to rate them from like most like the 1000Z to least, the Felet Woven 1000 would be the least like the 1000Z. Then it would be the OG Kills 1000Z. And then it would be the Hard Hitter Pro from Apex. I think this is the most like the 1000Z. The head weight is the most similar. I think the OG Kills one and the Felet one are both under 300, while this is 305. This is the most stiff out of the 3. Now it's, again, right, still less stiff than the 1000Z, which people classify as extra stiff. I would say this is stiff. I think the head shape is the most accurate compared to the 1000Z. Like when we did the comparison in my original TikTok, right? The Hard Hitter Pro has a smaller head than the woven 1000, right? So if you're looking for something that is like the least watered down or like the most purest reiteration of the NanoFlare 1000, get the Hard Hitter Pro, right? But with that being said, I don't consider this a bad racket, okay? This is still like quite a whippy and accessible speed stick. This is going to suit a lot of players that are physically less strong, and this is going to be great for doubles. With that being said though, would I switch this? Absolutely not. Because, right, again, I keep repeating the same things, but like it's because I know what I like, and the stiffness here is much more, I guess it's a bigger match. It's a better match for where I'm headed, if that makes sense. Like if I was not continuing to train to improve, yeah, I actually would pick the woven 1000, right? Because my physical and my technique, right where it's at, can utilize this like 90% already. I think this is very usable, and it's very just accessible power, right? But I have higher goals for myself. I want to continue to improve my technique. I want to continue to improve my power, my physicality, all that. And I crave that stiffer response, the crisper feel, and the harder hits, not gonna lie, right? And because I know that I'm gonna be better in a year from now than I am today, I want to go with a racket that right now I can kind of use, and later on we'll be able to use more and more. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the two. Now these two are like priced pretty similarly, I think. You can check Shopee. I don't really know the prices. Also want to like disclaimer that I did not receive this, like I bought this with my money, right? So I'm saying this out of my own will. Felet did not give me this. I bought this from a shop and was like, hey, I'm gonna review this. But yeah, if you have any thoughts or comments, let me know in the section below. Have you used this racket? Have you used the hard hitter? Have you used the OG-Kills 1000Z? If there's anything I did not cover, excuse me, let me know in the comments below, and I'm happy to answer you there. Or if there's enough people there, like I'm happy to make a separate video answering some question. I don't know what I'm going to do with this now, honestly. Like it's fun to use, but when I think of like what is the most competitive choice and what is the racket that I want to use, it's not it. I'll stick with the Hard Hitter Pro. Don't want to give it away either, because I used my own money for this, so I'll probably just sell it, honestly. So I guess if you want to buy this off me, again, I'll be in the Philippines from March 10 to March 25th. Feel free to buy it off of me then. Or if you're in Malaysia, right, I'll be here after March 25. Feel free to buy it off of me then. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next video. Peace out.